In the 90s, Jonathan Taylor Thomas seemed unstoppable. Then he walked away from Hollywood. So, what happened? From dealing with obsessive fans to struggling with anxiety, the former teen heartthrob never liked being in the spotlight. Acting can seem like a dream job, especially from the outside. After all, getting paid millions of dollars to work on projects enjoyed by audiences across the world is undeniably a privilege. But while it can be a very enviable job, it's ultimately just that, a job. This might sound a bit reductive, but looking at the entertainment industry from this angle might help explain why someone like Jonathan Taylor Thomas would ever be dissatisfied with his career. When Thomas was just 13, he was already admitting that he just didn't feel at home in the world of acting, primarily because he struggled to connect with his peers. He explained to Premiere Magazine in 1996, "The industry is neurotic and weird, and so when I go home and I play basketball with my friends, I'm not Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I'm just Jonathan. I don't like hanging out with other actors and actresses." At the time, Thomas was being likened to fellow child star Macaulay Culkin. Culkin had retired from acting in 1994, and Premiere speculated that Thomas could easily slip into the Home Alone actor's shoes. Instead of becoming the next Richie Rich, however, Thomas dreamed of becoming a director. By the mid-90s, potential cracks were already beginning to show in Jonathan Taylor Thomas's still blossoming acting career. While shooting Home Improvement for ABC, Thomas had to juggle three major things: his academics, his social life, and his work as an actor. Being pulled in multiple directions apparently took a toll on his physical well-being. Thomas told People magazine in 1994, "You have school, friends, learning your lines, and making sure your performance is up to speed. I can't tell you how many shows I've done with full-blown migraine headaches." Thomas made the difficult decision to leave Home Improvement during its final season in 1998. In an interview that took place shortly thereafter, the actor confirmed that he left to pursue academic endeavors.
And I want to go to a good college, so.
But he also noted that continuing to balance his multiple lives would have been too much to handle. Thomas told the outlet, "Had I stayed at the show and tried to do academically what I'm doing now, I would have put myself in an early grave." It's a chilling remark that makes it hard not to wonder just how much he sacrificed his health for his work. Balancing his friends, his schoolwork, and a major television project was hard enough for Thomas, but the young actor found that dealing with his fans was also challenging. Judging by his 1996 interview with Premiere Magazine, it definitely seems as though Thomas preferred to keep his social life and his career as separate as possible. As he continued to gain higher levels of fame, however, maintaining his privacy became increasingly difficult. In a 1997 New York Times profile, it was documented that around 50 young fans had managed to track down the shooting location for a project he was filming, and were trying to get as close to him as possible. Thomas described this attention as sometimes distracting, but indicated an even deeper and more complex anxiety it stoked within him. He told the outlet, "You are a part of their life, and there is a lot that is owed to them. It's difficult because you want to make everyone happy, but if you try to do that, you're setting yourself up for failure."
That's part that you just kind of have to accept, I guess.
Though he was humble enough to acknowledge that those distracting fans were a large aspect of his success, he also understood that he could never give them everything that they expected of him. This is a tremendous amount of pressure for a teenager who is still trying to understand who they are in their own mind, never mind who they are to the entire world. Jay Leno has always had a reputation in the industry for being a so-so interviewer, and this was never more apparent than when he spoke with Jonathan Taylor Thomas in 1998. Not even the likes of David Letterman really seemed to know what questions to ask the quiet actor. So how did Leno rise to the challenge of engaging a smart, talented 17-year-old who's excited about a daring new chapter in his life? Unfortunately, by trying to out him as gay in front of a national audience. Leno first broached the subject by claiming that friends of his had been telling him that Thomas was secretly gay. The line of questioning was embarrassing for everyone involved, but to Thomas's credit, he deflected it with a laugh and a dismissive joke about how those rumors mean he's finally made it to Hollywood. Thomas went on to politely assert that this was all just gossip and reminded Leno that people should be mindful about what they say. He told the host, "Not that there's anything wrong with it, but they're rumors and you should always be kind of careful with that internet stuff." Leno then asked Thomas outright if he was gay and invited him to come out on the show. The whole exchange is painfully cringy. It painted coming out as gay as a cheap punchline and arguably encouraged further speculation about the sex life of a teenager. Tim Allen's reaction to Thomas's early departure from Home Improvement was less supportive than you might expect. In fact, it left Allen and Thomas's longtime friendship in shambles. According to Allen, he at first failed to understand why Thomas wouldn't just finish out the series before moving on to college. He then felt confused when Thomas began appearing in other projects afterwards. Allen told TV Guide in 1999. He said it was about going to school, but then he did some films. Did he want to do those films? Did he want to go to school?
I wanted Jonathan on the show. I loved working with him.
That year, Thomas had prominent roles in 2 separate feature films, the coming-of-age movie Walking Across Egypt and the crime drama Speedway Junkie. However, it is unknown if these films required the same commitment as a full season of Home Improvement or if they were prior obligations he had to honor. Regardless, Allen commented negatively on Thomas's Home Improvement exit in public, which upset the young actor. Allen told TV Guide, "He was a little miffed at me. I don't think he liked that."
I just missed the kid, that's all.
When Thomas refused to come back for the Home Improvement series finale, it created a rift not only between him and Allen, but with the rest of the cast too. In an interview with TV Guide, Patricia Richardson, who played Thomas's mother in the hit sitcom, said that the young actor's absence was a pretty sore point on the set. Richardson told the outlet, "I think there were a lot of bad feelings. I don't think it's a good idea that he didn't show up, but I don't always think he gets the best advice." While Richardson didn't mention Thomas's mother, Claudine Gonsalves, it's fair to assume that this was a sly dig at her, given that she reportedly exercised a certain level of control over her son's career. Roger Allers, who co-directed Thomas in The Lion King, told Premiere Magazine that Thomas's mother was always there. Meanwhile, Jack Tamkin, whose company took care of Tim Allen's fan mail at the time, told the Los Angeles Times that Thomas's mail was answered by his mother and her sisters. It's clear that Gonsalves took an active role in her son's career, but that's not exactly unusual given his age when he broke through. There's nothing to suggest that Thomas's mother played a part in his decision to leave Home Improvement to concentrate on his studies. Even if she did, it's clear that she had his best interests at heart. Premiere Magazine noted in 1996, Thomas was watched over by a mother seemingly more intent on the development of his brain and heart than his bank account. As the 90s ended and the 2000s marched on, Thomas's retreat from public life took on a more lasting shape. He was no longer JTT, the teen heartthrob one could reliably expect to see on the cover of checkout counter magazines. Hopefully, he was somewhere privately living whatever life he had hoped to live after stepping away from the spotlight. Unfortunately, fan speculation about his life seemed to grow, exacerbated by the rise of social media. In the 2010s, various online accounts began reporting sightings of Thomas all over North America, as though he were some mythical creature to be tracked. Of course, these sightings came with inappropriate amateur psychoanalysis that is commonplace among online fandoms these days. One Redditor claimed that Thomas regularly visited a particular dive bar looking sad and distant, while another said he left a karaoke bar in anger after someone began singing a song from The Lion King. In reality, the 2010s were a time of healing for Thomas, both in terms of his relationship with the entertainment industry and his ex-colleagues. In 2011, he met with his former Home Improvement castmates for an Entertainment Weekly reunion, which seemingly helped smooth some of the rough edges left by his departure from the show. Entertainment Weekly's Lynette Rice wrote, Thomas's participation in the get-together was all the more special because most of the cast hadn't seen him since the show ended. Talk about icing on the reunion cake. For Thomas, reuniting with his old colleagues again and sharing stories from their time on the beloved sitcom apparently reawakened his dream to direct. In 2013, he made a cameo appearance in Allen's follow-up sitcom, Last Man Standing. That same year, he directed an episode of the show, taking the reins for Season 3's Haunted House. According to Allen, Thomas took some convincing as he was anxious about coming back to the industry after a long absence. Allen told Yahoo, "It's funny to see him so shy, so nervous. He worried whether he still had it, and he didn't want to do this because he's had other stuff in mind. But they asked him, and he agreed to it. I was shocked because, as I said, he's just shy." Thomas went on to appear in Last Man Standing 3 more times. When he popped up in 2013, it was as a character named John Baker. He reprised this role in a couple more episodes, and then he appeared as a character named Randy, a clear nod to his Home Improvement role. He even got the chance to direct 2 more episodes, in 2014 and 2016. He may have fallen out with Allen over Home Improvement, but it was Thomas's former TV dad that helped him realize his dream.
As though we never were distant.
After his short stint acting and directing on Last Man Standing, Thomas returned to his private life. He's only been spotted on a couple of occasions over the past few years, and each sighting has sparked numerous over-the-top tabloid stories. In 2021, Thomas was seen walking a couple of dogs in Los Angeles. The paparazzi snapped a few shots of the former actor and his little furry friends, and the tabloids ate them up. After publishing the images, People magazine reported, "This marks the first time Thomas has been photographed in public in nearly 8 years." Meanwhile, Page 6 made it seem as though the former Home Improvement star had been hiding, writing, "Jonathan Taylor Thomas resurfaced after years of staying out of the spotlight. In reality, Thomas had simply been going about his life like a normal person. However, that doesn't really fit the narrative when it comes to former child stars. The same thing happened again in 2023, when Thomas was photographed leaving his California apartment with a mirror stating that he was unrecognizable. In other words, a grown man no longer looks like he did when he was a teenager. As one reader said in the comment section, "How is this news?"